Welcome to the deep dive. We're always trying to figure people out, right? How do we understand each other better? How do we navigate life more effectively? Today, we've got a really interesting stack of sources that offer some actionable wisdom on just that. We're calling this one La Arquitectura de la Sabiduría, Influencia y Crecimiento. It's about building kind of a framework for living. And we're pulling from a really diverse group of thinkers. Yeah, our mission, if you like, is to try and sketch out a blueprint. Something sophisticated, but also practical, for navigating human nature, for personal growth. We want to see if there's a coherent philosophy in here about living better, maybe more compassionately. And the sources are great. We've got strategy from Baltasar Gracian, Robert Greene, relational stuff from Ryan Holiday, Seneca, then some really personal reflections, John Steinbeck, Susan Trott, Naval Ravikant, Sucraj Dhillon. It's quite a mix.
Yeah, it really is. A constellation, as you said.
Exactly. So let's see how these stars align for you. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with maybe the most provocative idea. It comes from Robert Greene, building on Baltasar Gracian. The concept is find their thumbscrew.
Right. Sounds a bit intense.
It does. Greene talks about discovering each man's thumbscrew, their special motive, or like a chink in their armor. The idea is you use this to set their wills in action. There's this quote. Knowing any man's mainspring of motive, you have, as it were, the key to his will. My first reaction, wow, that sounds like manipulation. Like finding a weakness to exploit. Feels ethically tricky, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's the immediate visceral reaction, I think. Thumbscrew just sounds coercive, exploitative. But what's fascinating is how another source, Ryan Holiday's Daily Dad, gives us a totally different angle, but maybe one that connects in a surprising way. Holiday talks about what people really need. His piece is titled, They Don't Need a Lecture, They Need This. And this is things like patience and discipline, kindness combined with firmness. Crucially, he says, people need to be understood and held accountable, to be seen why they were doing these things. It shifts influence from force to understanding. Deep understanding.
I see. So it's not necessarily about finding a button to push for your own gain.
Maybe not.
But maybe understanding a deeper need, like something missing.
Exactly.
And the John Steinbeck story really brings this home. It's quite poignant. He's writing East of Eden, which is all about complex father-son stuff, right?
Right, the irony.
Yeah. And his own son, Tom, is having a really tough time at school, acting out. His wife suggests, give him a stern talking to, a lecture.
The typical response, maybe.
Totally. But Steinbeck's insight was profound. He said Tom didn't need a lecture. He needed infinite patience and discipline.
Infinite. That's a high bar.
It is. But he saw that the acting out wasn't defiance just for defiance's sake. It was coming from somewhere else. So that thumbscrew, maybe it wasn't a lever for control, but more like a signal for a different kind of support. Compassionate structure, maybe.
I think that's a great way to put it, compassionate structure.
Yeah.
And it ties perfectly into Seneca's point about leadership. He basically said, show me a brutal commander, and I'll show you someone who soldiers desert. And you can't even blame them.
Right. Harshness backfires.
It creates resistance, whereas patience, understanding, firmness that builds loyalty, it builds engagement. So maybe Greene's thumbscrew isn't a weakness to poke at. Maybe it's often this unmet need for that compassionate structure you mentioned. It's that fundamental human desire to be seen, to be understood, and guided. Not controlled, but guided.
Like being and always be a fan, parent, or leader, as Holiday suggests.
Exactly. Which completely reframes influence. It's not coercion, it's guidance, it's support.
Okay, so understanding that deep need, that compassionate structure, is one key part of this architecture. What comes next if we're building this framework?
Well, if you understand the need, you also need the capacity to keep learning and adapting, right? Things change. People change.
That makes sense. And this is where Susan Trott comes in with this really vivid, almost startling observation about time. She says, life passes quickly, and toward the end, gathers speed like a freight train running downhill.
Wow. It's a powerful image. Definitely makes you sit up and think.
It really does. And she urges us, quite forcefully, keep learning about the world, use your mind to the hilt. It's not just for you, she says, but to enrich others, too. It feels urgent.
It does feel urgent. And in our time, the information age, that urgency feels even sharper, doesn't it? As some of our sources point out, ignorance is a choice, now more than ever.
Good point. With everything available, not learning is an active decision.
Right. And this connects to a really interesting, maybe counterintuitive idea from Naval Ravikant. He says, knowing how little we matter is very important for our mental health.
How so? That sounds potentially bleak.
At first glance, maybe, but it's actually quite liberating. It's this paradox, right? When you grasp your own cosmic insignificance, it frees you from all that ego-driven pressure. The fear of failure, the need to be right, the defensiveness.
Ah, I see. If the universe doesn't revolve around me, I don't have to protect my ego so fiercely.
Exactly. You're free to just explore, to be curious,
Mhm.
to learn without that baggage. It lets you embrace the urgency Trot talks about because you're not busy defending yourself. You're genuinely seeking to understand.
That's a really interesting connection. It makes learning feel less like a performance and more like discovery.
Yes, pure discovery.
And this idea of constant learning, constant refinement, it even pops up in unexpected places, like golf wisdom in our sources.
Like the golf stuff.
Yeah, like a good swing from a good setup will produce a good shot. Preparation matters.
The setup,
And also, the short game is 50% IQ and 50% technique.
which is fascinating. Half brain, half skill.
Exactly. It's not just about the physical action. It's about the thinking beforehand, the understanding, the IQ bit, combined with the actual execution, the technique. It's a little microcosm of needing both deep understanding and skillful application. And always adjusting, always refining.
Absolutely. It's that synthesis again. You've got the urgency from Trot, the humility from Naval, and this integration of intellect and technique, like in the golf example. Put them together, and you get this powerful mindset for continuous learning, being prepared, being open, constantly refining how you engage with the world.
Not just for yourself, but to connect better, like we were saying earlier.
Precisely. It's like the scaffolding that holds up this whole architecture of wisdom we're trying to build.
Okay, so we've talked about understanding others. The thumbscrew turned into compassionate structure. We've talked about the scaffolding, continuous learning, and humility. What about the inside job? How do we integrate all this internally?
Ah, yes. The inner landscape.
Our sources really hammer this home. Happiness is an inside job. It sounds simple, almost cliche.
But it keeps coming up.
It does, across all these different thinkers, centuries apart sometimes. It's fundamental. You see it in lines like, man was made to sit quietly and find the truth, and the advice to use your head to live with heart.
That last one is key, I think.
Yeah.
Use your head to live with heart. It's not head or heart.
Right. It's both hand, integration.
Exactly. Which leads to another core directive that sounds simple, but is actually quite profound. Feel more.
Feel more, not think more.
Feel more. But it's not about just letting emotions run wild or swinging the pendulum to pure feeling over logic. It's about engaging both your emotional and your intellectual capacities fully, using both to understand yourself and others.
So, like, if someone cuts me off in traffic, instead of just thinking, what an idiot, or just getting angry, it's about noticing the anger, maybe asking why I'm so angry, and thinking about the situation rationally. Exactly. It's that pause, that integration. It's engaging the feeling and the thought. That's where the deeper understanding happens. Head and heart working together.
Okay, that takes practice.
Definitely. It's building that internal connection.
And Sucre Stallon's perspective seems to fit right in here. He encourages embracing all experiences.
Yes, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right. He says, never regret a day in your life. Good days give happiness, bad days give experience, worst days give lessons, and best days give memories.
It's such a powerful reframe, isn't it?
It really is. It stops you from labeling days as just good or bad, and instead asks, what can I learn? What did I feel? What does this teach me?
It turns everything into an opportunity for growth, for understanding. It builds that emotional muscle, like you said.
Yeah. So you become more resilient, more capable of handling whatever life throws at you. And crucially, this internal integration, feeling more, learning from everything, directly feeds back into how we interact with others. When you're more aware and integrated internally, you naturally bring more empathy, more understanding, more presence to your interactions.
It makes sense. If you understand your own feelings and reactions better, you're probably better equipped to understand someone else's.
Exactly. It strengthens your ability to connect authentically and, yes, influence positively. It's the internal foundation for the external architecture.
So, pulling it all together now.
Right.
What's the big picture? What does this architecture of wisdom ultimately look like?
Well, I think when you step back, it's clear this isn't about finding tricks to manage people or just formula for getting ahead. It's really an architecture for authentic engagement with life, with others, with yourself.
And that thumbscrew idea.
It totally transforms, doesn't it? From a tool of potential exploitation.
Right.
It becomes a point of connection, a place where understanding someone's real need, their core motivation, opens the door for genuine positive influence, not manipulation, but connection.
Building a life based on meaning, not just strategy.
Precisely.
And it loops back beautifully to that always be a fan idea.
Yes. It's such a practical shift.
It really is.
Yeah.
Moving away from criticism, judgment.
Which is often our default, isn't it?
Sadly, yes. And shifting towards being a supporter. Actively looking for potential instead of asking, why aren't you doing better? Asking, what do you need? How can I help?
Mm-hmm. That's a profound shift in perspective, in parenting, in leadership, in friendship.
It requires vulnerability, though, to step out of judgment and into curiosity.
It does. But that's where the real connection happens. And I think this whole architecture suggests that true wisdom isn't about mastering techniques over others. It's about developing the capacity for deep understanding of ourselves first, then of others, and of the incredibly complex ways we all interact.
So the foundation isn't strategy.
No, the foundation is authentic human understanding. That's the bedrock.
Okay, so if we were to boil down the core philosophy from all these sources, what would it be?
Maybe something like, approach life with curiosity, not defensiveness. Seek to understand, not dominate.
And recognize that the deepest influence comes from combining intellectual rigor with real emotional presence. Head and heart fully engaged.
Yes, building real connections, one thoughtful, understanding interaction at a time.
That feels like a powerful and achievable way to live.
It does. And maybe the final thought for reflection is that this isn't about reaching some final state of wisdom. It's more about a daily practice, a commitment to seeing clearly, feeling deeply, and responding to the world, to people, with both wisdom and compassion, even when it's difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when it's difficult.
It's about the ongoing effort, the journey itself.
Exactly. Not accumulating power over others, but developing power within ourselves, the power of understanding and connection.
So a question for you listening, what really stood out for you in this deep dive? Is there one idea, one piece of this architecture you might start building with in your own life? How could you apply this framework starting, well, right now?